Thiruvananthapuram, the seat of Sri Padmanabha Swami, where Sattvic Vishnu lies eternally in his Anantashayana posture. Capital city of the state of Kerala, in the southernmost part of India. God's own country is what the tourist promotion people call this breathtakingly beautiful piece of land in their money-making advertising campaigns. And yes, there are very many gods and goddesses worshipped in this part of the world still by ordinary devout Hindus who still form the vast majority of the population here besides Christians and Muslims. Devi, Shiva and Vishnu are the most common deities. Krishna is a favorite god of the Malayali people, but unlike in North India, one will find fewer temples in Kerala devoted entirely to Ram, Sita and Hanuman. Well, not entirely. That is what we propose to tell you through this video.
Despite constant brainwashing by materialists and communists during the last 50 years or more, most Malayali Hindus have managed somehow to keep his beliefs intact. Many are reciting in the month of Karkadakam, chanting the Deep in the hearts of Malayalis too is embedded the divine form of Maryada Purushottam, Sri Ramachandra. His devotion to truth, his self-sacrifice and dedication to the good of his subjects. And wherever there is Rama, Sita too would be by his side, with Hanumanji at his lotus feet. As Swami Vivekananda once put it, Sita is a name in India for everything that is good, pure and holy. Everything that in woman we call woman. As for Hanuman, he is the ultimate devotee in the Indian subconscious, imprinted even in the ensign of Arjuna, the great warrior.
Where can the gods and goddesses in heaven be without their true devotees on earth, praying to them, taking their names and singing their praises constantly, looking up and continuously evolving themselves in higher heaven? To quote Swami Vivekananda once again, one who has cleansed both the inner and outer self is alone capable of bhakti. See how the command of Ramachandra made Hanuman cross the ocean. He had no care for life or death. He was a perfect master of his senses and wonderfully sagacious. On the one hand, Hanuman represents the ideal of service, and on the other, he represents leonine courage, striking the whole world with awe. The subject of our documentary here is one such Hanuman-like Mahatma, whose very being pulsates every minute with nothing but his love and devotion for Sita and Rama. Once we have the good fortune to behold this Swami, even the spiritually blind among us can see and perceive that love despite our Maic veils.
It was nearly 20 years ago that I visited this ashram at Chenkottukonam, a distant suburb of Thiruvananthapuram city, for the first time. This whole place, this big glass-covered eternal lamp and these idols I saw then look just the same even today. Perhaps due to my own eyes having opened up somewhat with the passage of time, they now seem more lustrous and radiant than when I saw them for the first time 20 years ago. I wasn't as much an Indian as I feel I am today, and wasn't particularly a believer in anything at all, let alone gods, goddesses and swamis. Having been raised in the Nehruvian materialist mindset of the post-independent times, and having been systematically brainwashed at schools and colleges by alienating foreign ideologies that poo-pooed all Hindu anushtanas and rituals as superstition, our so-called modern generation had nothing to fall back upon except the chaos and anarchy within us. rebelling without causes and having been reduced to a psychic weakling. I was then literally on the verge of a breakdown. Swamiji looked at me from behind his large desk and with a beaming face full of grace, beckoned me closer. Gently but firmly he placed his hands on my forehead, and I felt for a moment as if an electric charge had suddenly bolted through my soul without prior warning. Swamiji then took out some vibhuti, closed his eyes for a while, prayed and applied some of the holy ash on my forehead. A pinch of it he put into my mouth and neatly folded the rest in a piece of paper and asked me to keep it. Everything would be all right, said His Holiness Puja Jagadguru Swami Sathyananda Saraswathi Maharaj. And indeed, everything became all right for me from then on. Jai Sitaram.
His Holiness Swami Sathyananda Saraswathi was born on the 25th of September 1935 in a village named Chenkottukonam, just a few kilometers from where the Sree Dasa mission Ashram is situated today. Swamiji's parents were pious Hindus and noticed an inborn spiritual disposition in their son Shekaran since early childhood. It was at the age of 5 that young Shekaran was first taken into the august presence of Param Guru Sri Nilakanda Gurupadar. A spiritual Swayambhu and an absolute recluse, Sri Nilakanda Gurupadar, unknown to the rest of the world, was then recreating one of the most pristine aspects of India's spiritual heritage, enlightenment and realization through Upasana of Rama. After having practiced constant meditation and severe penance at the 1,200-year-old Madathipathi cave temple and the Subramanya temple at Veli Hills, he had moved into the 14-cent plot at Chenkottukonam in 1920 and established his hermitage there. Through the continuous recitation of Ramayana and Ramopasana, Gurupadar had already attained the state of Atma Rama, or oneness with the cosmic self, quite akin to Sri Dasa, Hanuman. Though uneducated in the Western sense of the term, Gurupadar was well versed in Indian Vedas and Upanishads. Legends and miracles associated with this confirmed Siddha and Trikalagyani are still current among the older people in the ashram vicinity and nearby villages.
On July 4th, 1962, Gurupadar transformed his hermitage, until then known as Swamiyar Madham, and gave it a new name, Sree Dasa Madham. Installing the idols of Sri Rama, Sita and Anjaneya there, Gurupadar instituted a regular system of worship at his Madham through daily uninterrupted recital of Ramayana, Aradhana, singing of bhajans, Sri Rama Navami celebrations, and conducting Sri Rama Pattabhishekam in the Atma Rama state. On the 26th of May 1965, on the holy day of Uttarayana Shuklapaksha Ekadashi, Paramaguru Sri Nilakanda Gurupadar willfully gave up his mortal body and attained Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Swami Sathyananda Saraswathi was then just 30 years of age.
Around the time of his graduating in economics and education from the Mahatma Gandhi College, Thiruvananthapuram, Shekaran's mind was slowly detaching itself from the transactional world around and turning Godward. Spending time at the Panimula Devi temple in contemplation was what he liked to do most. One day he met there a mendicant from far who invited him to a life of renunciation at the Himalayas. Struggling hard to overcome and conquer the attachment he felt for his mother, the only stumbling block in his emotional world, Shekaran spent 2 grueling weeks of indecision and inner conflicts, contemplating on whether to be or not to be, a sannyasin. Resolving in favor of renunciation, Shekharan decided to reach the address that the mendicant had left with him, Krishna Vasishtalaya Guha, Rishikesh.
Just a few hours before his expected departure to Himalayas, a messenger from Gurupada appeared from nowhere and delivered the message that Shekharan must report at the Swamiyar Matham early next morning without fail. Shekharan spent one more sleepless night, and after his daily morning pujas, walked alone to Gurupada's hermitage. Paramaguru was sitting on the threshold of the shrine. Looking with kindness into the gleaming eyes of Shekharan, the master spoke with a smile. What is here is also there, nothing more. The existent is neither here nor there. The disciple's mind was cleared of all doubts then and there. Giving up his plans to go to the Himalayas, the young initiate decided to sit permanently at the lotus feet of his master, Paramaguru Sri Nilakanda Gurupada. That was way back in 1962.
The next 3 years with his Guru was full of strenuous activities for the disciple. The young Swami was teaching at a nearby school as well as trying to clear the debts of the ashram accrued over the years.
In 1965, Gurupada decided to give up his body and enter Mahasamadhi. 9 days before the event, the Guru asked his disciple to remove his bed to the back of the sanctum sanctorum of the temple. He then assumed a yogic posture and remained in it continuously for 48 hours. Coming out of it, he pressed his chest and burst it open, wherein the young disciple Swami Sathyananda Saraswathi, standing by, witnessed the unique scene of Sri Rama Pattabhisheka in all its glory. All was over by 2:30 p.m. that day. The disciple felt a whirlwind passing from underneath his navel and heard the utterance from above, "We go nowhere. Fulfill your duty."
Swamiji was anointed the Madathipathi of the ashram in 1965 at the age of 30. His Holiness spent the next 14 years in the ashram in extreme penance, enforcing upon himself a life of strict self-discipline and engaging himself in activities of selfless service. Swamiji laid a strong foundation for the ashram and carried forward the unique spiritual lineage of his master, Sri Nilakanda Gurupada. Hundreds of devotees from far and wide, having heard of his spiritual powers, visited the ashram daily to receive his love and resolve their sufferings and problems.